Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another one! Another one!
Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Welcome in on this Friday as we're coming live from the Indiana Football Complex out here. Stadium Football Complex. See the practice facility right behind me there. Today is the first day of football practice for Indiana. Yesterday was media day as we were out there. We'll have some sound for you as we spoke with Tom Allen, Michael Penix, Norm Charlton, the DC, the offensive coordinator, Nick Sheridan, was with us as well. And so we got plenty to talk about. Basketball, we're going to talk to those guys later after this is over, so we'll have that for you later. It won't be on the show. We're talking to the basketball coach Mike Woodson and a few players as they prepare to head to the Bahamas next week. Wish I was going there, but we're sending a reporter instead. But we'll have complete coverage from the Bahamas for you on thehoosier.com. So don't worry about that. There's no television, no radio, but thehoosier.com will be there to give you complete coverage. So make sure to go there. If you're not a member, you should probably think about joining thehoosier.com. But welcome out to the campus of Indiana University as football practice has begun. An absolute beautiful day. I mean, man, when I remember back to two-a-days, like I've said before, it was 100 degrees, it seemed like, and you had to walk to practice uphill both ways, and it was a lot hotter than this. I can guarantee you that. But this is just a beautiful day. There's no humidity out here, and it's not a rough day for those guys anyways. They'll probably be going just in helmets and non-pads, not hitting today, just getting out there and getting through that. But it's just great to have it started, to be outside, to be able to be doing this. Charlie Miller's going to join us here in a little bit as well. Tonight here at Monroe County, the Hall of Fame. Monroe County Hall of Fame is having their induction ceremony from last year as well as this year. Good friend of the show, Joe Smith, part of the IU broadcast team, is being inducted in there tonight. So we're looking forward to seeing Joe tonight. I'll be out there, and I'll see Kit Klingelhofer and some other great people, Brent Hutton, some great names from IU. We'll look forward to seeing who all's out there for that. But trying to talk to Kit a little later. Kit's a former SID for IU. Was the SID long through the Bob Knight era and all that. But hopefully we can get Kit on later as well. John, who else are we talking to today? I can't even remember.
We have Charlie Miller and Brian Walsh.
Oh, yes. How could forget Brian Walsh from the IU basketball program joining us as well. I think that's at 9 or a couple more segments away. But looking forward to talking to Brian as he's getting ready to head down to the Bahamas with the team. But looking forward to Charlie Miller joining us too. I can't remember when Charlie was playing. I look forward when he comes on to ask him, did they go anywhere? Get to go on any trips? Because I can't remember. I have to look that up. If they got to go to Hawaii or Alaska or any place like that. But those are always the fun times. But man, it is a great day just to be outside. Wonderful to be here. What's new? I can't read the comments, by the way. So, John, you're going to have to fill me in on that. If anything is being said, going on there. Let me move to this side. But every time I do that, the glare off of that daggone car next to me is just killing me, and I can't see. I guess I can stand there and shut my eyes and talk, but so you can have a better view of what's going on behind me. But what else is going on, John?
Can you see? I've been flashing comments on the screen. Can you not see them?
I can't see Jack, brother. Oh, I can't read because the sun is in my eyes, to be honest with you.
We got Pete Clausen saying B-Town's such a great place, beautiful campus. RBO Sprint or Ross Boonell, a.k.a. RBO Sprint. Morning, everyone. Going to try to hold a signal here on the lake so he can listen. And then we got a good morning from Dwayne Blackford.
Well, hope everybody's doing well and enjoying the Friday, getting out and enjoy this weekend. as we're getting closer and closer to football season starting, today is practice number 1. So that puts us about a month away, almost exactly, September 4th, the opener in Iowa City, as the Hoosiers will travel to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes in what will be an absolute tremendous way to start the season for college football, much less for Indiana. Kirk Ferentz noted at Big Ten Media Days that Hawkeyes have not opened up the season with a conference opponent since 1979, and that ironically was the Indiana Hoosiers. Lee Corso's team, I think Mark Deal was on that team when we spoke to him up at Big Ten Media Days. But looking forward to all of it getting going. But that first game, man, is going to be of uber importance. And yesterday, if you saw anything at the IU football media days, the confidence is there. Everything is in place. The players are in place. They're starting off with no major injuries, which is a good thing. Keeping Michael Penix healthy, of course, is of tantamount importance, and he's not going to be hit. You can count on that. I wonder about that. The only thing is, when you play football, your muscles have to be in football shape, and by that I mean they have to be used to getting hit a little bit, because it's a whole different kind of shape. It's a whole different kind of sore, and it takes a lot more out of your body. I wonder, with him not being able to participate at all, is that going to affect him any? Which, most teams are not going to let their quarterbacks get hit. In the pros and the NFL, where not he's the franchise, so you have to protect him. But sometimes wonder if they can keep him healthy. And they did a great job last year, the offensive line. They gave up very few sacks. Hopefully they can continue that this season. So we'll find out. What else is going on, Johnny boy?
We've got a video from Charlton Warren from yesterday, a 30-second clip if you want to play that.
Absolutely. The new defensive coordinator who came up from Georgia, spent a ton of time in the Air Force. So this guy is fundamentally sound. He is no BSer. He fits right in with a tell it like you is. That's what the recruits have loved. That's one of the reasons Tom Allen has done so well. It's not the rah-rah stuff. It's that he is sincere. And these parents, these students, these kids, they know that what he's saying is true. They believe it because they can tell, but they can also listen to these other players. But let's go ahead and listen what the DC, Coach Charlton, had to say.
It's been good. When the basis of your defense is still, hey, we have 5 DBs on the field. We got 3 down linemen and an outside backer and 2 backers. That's the family of football I'm used to. So from that standpoint, it was not a bad transition at all. And like in any football, it's just language, right? I have to be able to adapt to the language these kids understood, because I can learn instead of having 60 guys in the room learning. So for me, it was more about language. I may call it Daffy Duck, and they may call it quack. Whatever it is, I just had to adapt to that language. And so once that took place, it was a fairly easy transition, because at the end of the day, a lot of the calls that I may have.
That was they're going to bring in their system, their type of their scheme that they play, but Tom Allen was insistent that the defense stay exactly the way it was, and the defensive coordinator had to adapt to that, which is a little unusual, but not that big of a deal. But he was just talking about the biggest difference is simply in language and how they call, like Marcelino Ball, the Husky, the Bull. There's just different names for it. And things like that. So terminology for him, and it's a lot easier, as he said, for him to learn the terminology as opposed to the 30 or so defensive guys who would have to learn that, or however many of that is. But things seem to be going just fine there. I don't think there's going to be any drop-off in defense whatsoever. I think that the time that Coach Charlton has spent in the Southeastern Conference and in the Air Force is more than ample experience to continue the defensive ways that Indiana has played the last few years since Tom Allen arrived. Looking forward to Charlie Miller joining us, and also Brian Walsh. We'll talk some basketball today, as we're going to be meeting with Coach Mike Woodson later after football practice is over, as they are doing a pre-Bahamas meet with the media. before they take off for the sunny skies and the sunny shores of the Bahamas. Man, so for the lucky few. Hi, anyone out there going down there? Anyone going to the Bahamas? Heading down to those games? There are 2 games that they're playing. No television, no radio. Like I said, the Hoosier.com will have complete coverage of each game. We'll have some video for you. They're even limiting the amount of video that can be shot, only allowing 2 minutes of video per game to be shot. So we'll see what we can get out of there as well. But the new mask mandate took effect. If you're around the Bloomington area and planning on coming to anything in the Bloomington area soon, remember that the new mask mandate has gone into effect. I think that started yesterday. It's a little lax right now. I was out last night and saw a few people going in a lot of places. It wasn't a big deal, but we'll see how that goes. But that's just part of where we are right now. And trying to see if I can see the time. I'm literally blinded by the sun here, so I see we got about 2 more minutes before we have to take a break. And John, what other sound? I know we talked to Tom Allen yesterday. We're going to hear from Tom Allen. We're going to hear from Michael Penix a little bit later today. Looking forward. He's as confident. He's always been confident. Everyone is asking him about his injuries. I know I asked him up at the Big Ten Media Days, is he tired of talking about his injuries, of being healthy? And he said, no, he's not tired of it. But it's a constant question. But I think that once the season starts, that question has to go away because it's moot. He's either healthy or he's not. So once the season starts, I mean, and there's no point to even asking it. We already know the key is keeping him healthy. So there's no point to beleaguering that point now. It is what it is. He's a lot stronger. I can tell you that. Just by looking at him, Michael Penix is bigger. You can see he's broader. His shoulders, he has a lot more definition to him. Obviously, that has helped. He needs to continue to do that as he goes forward. And especially if he wants to go to the next level, he's got to continue to get stronger. That's why you can't go from high school to the NFL. That's why there's a 3-year moratorium that they force kids to stay. You're just not physically able. I mean, 99 times out of 100, you're not physically able to compete with the guys in the NFL. They're so much stronger. They've been under these systems of working out and all of that for so much longer that it is a difference that I cannot even. Just looking at Michael Penix, I'm just visually, I can see the difference. I know how they like to put all the pictures up from the IU basketball guys when they're working out and all that stuff, and which is nice, and you can see that transformation. But it's even more so when you can see it through a suit like I had on Michael. Looks like we're about time we can take a break. Let's do that. We got plenty more. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the mobile Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios from the Indiana Football Complex. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking...
Man.
Hey, do you remember your question from Tom Allen? I'm looking at this transcript so I can see it, so I can pull it for the, put it on the StreamYard.
I don't exactly. Give me the 5th question.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just alluded to chemistry. You have 17 starters returning. Then a bunch
before that.
Okay. You mentioned the word expectations, which has not been said with Indiana football for a long time, but
that'd
it is
be me.
now.
That'd be me.
I'll get that one, and I'll get that pulled up during this next segment.
What else? Is Charlie coming on?
At 9:20, 2 minutes from now, he said.
Oh, great.
Are you able to send me over Brian Walsh's number, or did you text him yourself?
I'll text it.
Are you still there? I'm not hearing you. All right.
You ready?
There you go.
So see, if I get out of this to look at something else, it cuts me off of this.
I got you. So you sent Brian a text?
I did.
All right, perfect. Charlie should be on momentarily.
Thing is, I can't. How much time we have left?
30 seconds. As soon as we get back going, I'm going to go cut that Tom Allen clip, and I'll keep an eye on if Charlie comes back.
Any comments to talk about?
Let me look through real quick, and once we get going, I need to bring this back.
Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you live from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios mobile, live on the IU football complex from first day of opening football practice for the Indiana Hoosiers as they get ready to open this 2021 campaign with high expectations. Yesterday was media day for the Hoosiers. We met with Coach Tom Allen, all the coordinators, Nick Sheridan and Coach Charlton, Michael Penix, of course, and Casey Teagarden as well, who is the special teams coordinator. And, you know, there's changes in special teams this year. Charlie, I see Charlie Miller joining us. Hey, Charlie, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, Jim?
Great. How's your week been?
Man, it's a whole story. I'll tell you. Keep going. It's great. It's great. I'll tell you, but it's a great story.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. I'm just out here live at the IU football complex. Today's the first day of football practice.
Nice.
Do you remember the first day of? I was talking about it earlier. Man, when I was playing football, I remember the start of two-a-days. It was always hot and humid, and it was like being literally in hell. And I'm standing out here, and it's like minus a beach. This is lovely. It's just a cool breeze. There's no humidity in the air. The temperature it's like a brisk 72 degrees.
Are they practicing outside or inside?
Yeah, they're outside, practicing outside the Mellencamp Pavilion right behind me, but they're out on their practice fields.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can only imagine this time of year. Like I was in Austin, Texas last night, and the weather was like in the 80s. So I got to imagine in Bloomington, it's like beautiful right now.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, you know how it looks on the fall, man. We're heading in that direction with those beautiful falls in Bloomington as we get closer and closer. What's new with Charlie Miller? You've been traveling, I know, but on the
road. So I was in St. Louis last week, and I had a basketball camp that started on Friday night, and it didn't finish until Sunday night. And here's where the story gets interesting. So my flight gets canceled from St. Louis back to Dallas. So I get a crazy thought to drive home 9.5 hours because the flights kept getting canceled and there was no flight returns. And I had another camp that started this past Tuesday and to be in Austin, Texas. So I drove straight home. It's 9.5 hours, 2 stops. I don't know how I did it. I really don't. Yeah, that was just another word. I don't even know how I did it. So anyway, I drive home, and then my wife has to drive with me to Austin. It's like a 3.5 hour drive because I was out of it Monday. I was just gone, right? I was just out of it. Then Tuesday had camp, Tuesday through Thursday. and got home last night about 9:30. So good, all good stuff. But it's just like it's interesting. Like where do I get this energy from? I just know it sometimes it's just not me.
Yeah, it's drive, brother. It's all about drive and the will to you got to what you have to do. It's exactly. Because if you don't do it, it doesn't get done.
That's right. It's what Nick Saban said. He said, "Whatever it takes, man."
Which I think most people like that. That's we all froze, but
yeah. I was saying whatever it takes, man. That's exactly it. So. Yeah.
Well, at least you're busy. That's a great problem to have, man. Sounds like you are super busy with these camps. How do you maintain that, keeping those schedules going, especially the ones that are out and around in different places in the country?
Yeah, so there's the conglomerate. It's called Breakthrough Basketball. So we actually I've been a part of it for 6 years. We do over 250 plus camps a year. And I do about between anywhere as little as 10, as many as like 15. And it's really the CEO of the family, my wife. I mean, the calendar, if it's not on the calendar, it's not getting done. So it's the calendar, man. That's what drives it all. So even when I get back, like I had a workout this morning at 6:30 in the morning. And it was calendared, but it was calendared a couple weeks ago. So it's the calendar, man. It's the manifest. I go off that calendar.
I don't care who puts a 6:30 workout on my calendar. That ain't going to get done. I'm kidding. Man, I was talking earlier. We're going to get the chance to talk to the basketball program after football practice today. Football practice going on until 11. Then we meet with Mike Woodson and a couple of players via Zoom, unfortunately, but as they prepare to go off to the Bahamas next week. Did you get to go on any trips?
I don't even know if he was thought of. I remember back in the 90s, you had it where I think it was like you can go to Europe, you go to the Bahamas, but it had to be like a 2-year gap.
Yeah.
It was something along the lines of a 2-year gap period. I don't believe IU went anywhere, and I mean, people could probably tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the last trip they took was like in the 80s. I think like in the 80s they went somewhere, but I don't believe it was.
Well, they've gone to. They were supposed to go to Hawaii last year, and
no. We're talking about preseason, like that. Like
preseason, yeah.
The Bahama stuff, yeah. Like we went, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we went to Maui once. We played in a Hawaii, like Rainbow Classic, the University of Hawaii. Look, their mascots, rainbows. We did a deal out there, Honolulu, like a round robin temple, Hawaii, us. Where else?
How hard is it to stay focused on basketball when you? First of all, that's like a, I don't know, 8-9 hour flight from here to Hawaii.
Yeah, but you're locked in. I mean, as much as and like I would hear stories from other players on other teams, like they would come to Bloomington, they would go to the mall, College Mall, and walk around. That wasn't happening. You walked around the hotel room. After you ate, hey, listen, seriously, after you ate training table or like pregame meal, we always took a walk. It was like, and Tim Garl led the walk. It's like a single file line of walk. We just like, what are we doing? Is she walking your food off or something? I don't know. We took a walk around the hotel. Seriously, like your guys were like, man, we came in town, went to the mall, hung out, did this, that, third. Nah. So like going to Hawaii, we had like some time off in Maui the first day. So we all went to the beach. You really weren't getting in the water because it's too cold, but you're just hanging out. But other than that, no, I can't recall any mall walking stories or just going out seeing the city when you get there a day early, something like that.
Well, talking to Todd Leary a lot, he'd always say that Coach Knight loved whenever you would go someplace, though, like Hawaii, You got to go see, yes, the historical places. You've got to go to, of course, in Hawaii, you're talking about the bombing, Pearl Harbor there. So you got to see all that.
Took a tour. So,
which is cool. It's a real cool thing.
Yeah, took a tour. I forget where we were going. I remember we had Coach Knight was on one of his Coach Knight's rants. We all had to write like a paragraph or two on Abraham Lincoln, like the importance of him and stuff like it was like you're not gonna get on the plane if you don't write this. So we all had to write something to turn it in, whether he looked at it or not. It's always like, that's just Coach Knight, but yeah, big history buff. Big history buff, man. So.
Ever had a coach that did anything like that? Turn in something about a historical that had nothing to do with your sport.
Well, that's Coach.
But it does mentally.
Yeah, and see, and like when people ask me, like they'll ask me, how was it playing for Coach Knight? And I just give people 3 or 4 words. He was a teacher. He was a teacher. Like, he found ways to relate life to basketball. All of his stories were parallel to that. If you really listen to what he was saying, who cares the situation? If you really listen, it was all about an extension of life. And I know I've taken on that route big time. Everything I do on that court relates to life. And I know he's a big part of that for me. Everyone else can be different, but I know for me, Coach Knight was a teacher. I wouldn't really call him X and O guy. To be honest, I would never call Coach Knight X and O guy. He was more of a teacher, put you in position, understand philosophy, mentality, with confidence. That's Coach Knight to me.
And that is actually a great description as I sit here and think about it, because you can't script sports.
Nah.
You can't script what somebody else is going to do. You can think about what you might do in that situation, but you really can't script it. And that's a great point that you make.
Yeah, and that's why film study when you get older, film study is important, because now you can understand tendencies, right? But still, I still gotta stop you. You still gotta stop me. But really, it's me versus me. Joe Montana said it best, right? Biggest competitor you have is yourself. It's really you, right? Film study, we know your tendencies, cool. You still got to stop it. I don't care what schemes you run, you still not gonna overcome technique.
I hate to bring up, well, not hate to, but not to bring up Todd's name again, but to something else. I learned a lot from when Todd was on, and he said that they didn't really have, and you'll say the same thing. You didn't really have an offense. There wasn't it's set plays. It wasn't like set plays.
That's what people are blown away from when I said, that's why I say he was a teacher. Coach Knight was not an X and O guy. There was no 25 plays, nothing against the Michigan States, nothing against the other schools. Michigan State had 25,000 sets. They would hold up posters of pictures of people and all kinds of stuff. They know what it meant. Heck, anytime I knew we ran a play, we messed it up. He would draw something up. We didn't practice out of bounds plays. I'm just being real with you. He would draw it up. We'd be like, okay. That's about to be messed up big time. You know what I'm about to say instead of saying messed up. You know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, he was more of a situational. Okay, you're here. You can screen down, screen up, play from there. Here's this line. We got this line in practice that he would put down from, we call it Main Street, right? So from basically the middle of the rim all the way down to the other court, he'll also cross one. So you're like a cross. You had to know where you had to be defensively and offensively. So it was more about cueing, right? More feel, more play through that. So, and I know for me, being vulnerable when I was younger, I really didn't understand that freedom. Coach Knight gave us more freedom than people realize. He wasn't very, very tough on, like, you had to be this spot. Like, you played in space. He gave you, he was a genius in that way. And that's what a lot of coaches, a lot of players are like amazed. They would just think he would be a control freak. I'm not. He's not. A lot of things Coach Knight didn't really care about. Right? But when it came to play, he wanted to put you in position, put you in space to succeed.
And when you'd see somebody screw up and get jerked out, that was because they did not take either option that they had. I'm assuming they
You didn't finish your cut. You didn't shoot it. It was for those reasons, way beyond what people would think. Like he's screaming and yelling because he just wants to be on you, or he had a tight noose. No, it was you didn't fulfill what was there because now let me go here now. Because of the intimidation you had, because you didn't want to make a mistake. So that's kind of where for me, and I'm just talking about everybody has their way. That's one thing that if I would go back, I would probably have more of a voice to Coach Knight. I probably would share, hey man, I need you to tell me exactly what you need from me. Right? Oh shoot. Jim, my phone is down. I'm gonna link back up. I'm sorry about that.
Don't worry, we'll get you back, man. Great stories. Sitting there talking about the philosophies of Coach Knight and his coaching, because, like I said, in talking to Todd and more back when he was co-hosting with us, Indiana didn't sets. They didn't have set plays. They had situations, and that motion offense, it dictated itself. And the reason I'm talking about that is because over the last 4 years, we know what Indiana dealt with, the inability to do anything. And so I'm wondering, offensively, not that I'm comparing that to Mike Woodson at all. I'm not, because he has got probably a different philosophy of mixed in with his NBA experience, in addition to as being a college player and whatnot. Charlie Miller looking, what time is it? We'll make sure we're not close to a break.
If you want, Jim, we can play the Tom Allen sound and then go to break.
Let's go ahead and listen to what Tom Allen had to say yesterday. I asked him about this year. The expectations are extraordinarily high for Indiana football. Well, when you have expectations for Indiana football, that's high, period. But they are very high, expected to compete with Ohio State and Penn State for the Big Ten East title. They believe they can win a Big Ten championship. They really do. Tom Allen believes that. These players believe that. I asked Tom Allen about the expectations yesterday.
Well, we've been pretty clear on our goals, and haven't shied away from, we finished second in the Big Ten East last year, and our goal is to play in the Big Ten championship game and win the game, and so there's a lot of things that have to happen before that occurs, and right now the next step is having a great fall camp, and you mentioned there's been some transfers, and those guys have to come in and mesh with our team, and everything you've done in the offseason is really individually driven. So player practices, or that's the biggest part we've done together. We're not out there for those as coaches. And so this will be the first time these guys have been around us in the football setting as far as the new guys. So how well this team comes together is going to be a major factor. How well we perform on game day. I mean, how hard are these guys willing to work? And we have our first team meeting tonight. We had last night's was just kind of to make sure everybody's back, but tonight really starts fall camp in my mind. And so in regards to that, and there's going to be very specific challenges with our guys, and we've mapped out what we expect them to do. So to me, that how they buy into that, how hard they work, how focused they are in meetings and taking notes and being such an attention to that process. What we've been challenging them is chasing greatness every day. How do you get 1% better every day? And so that's that's yet to be determined. Do we have talent? Yes, we have talent. We have a lot of good players. Yes, I believe we have a lot of good football players. And I love our coaching staff, but how well this 2021 team meshes together, the chemistry that we create, how hard we play for each other, with each other, and how well we perform each and every day. And the thing about it is, to me, you got to get better every week, And so if those things all happen as they are, then I'm excited about what this team can become. But it's really up to them, and it's up to our coaching staff. And so that, to me, is a challenge we have to address every day. And but yeah, I got high expectations for this football team. And I haven't shied away from that. I believe we can have a very talented, effective offense, a very talented, effective defense, and I think we have talent on special teams. But special teams is an area where everybody's involved, and the buy into those drills and all the things that we ask these guys to do, and how hard they play, and the opportunities they can create, and the field position that's won on those plays will be a major factor in this season. So a lot of expectations, and that's been the challenge, is to go from believing, and I believe we have a team that believes, to now expecting a certain outcome on game day.
There was Tom Allen talking yesterday about the expectations for this year's squad as they head in to the 2021 Big Ten football season. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat. Brian Walsh, assistant coach for the Indiana Hoosiers basketball team, joins us next when we come back.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for
We're able to confirm with Brian.
Oh, I can't. I'm using my phone, so.
Okay.
He hasn't received an email to his IU account.
Well, then maybe you sent me the wrong. Let me read you the address I have real quick. Make sure it's the right one.
Is it an Indiana EDU account?
I believe so. Hold on. I just need to read the actual. It is Walsh, BRA@IU.com that you gave me.
No, that's not it. Look up his email on the. Just Google his email on the basketball site.
Okay, and then I'll shoot it to him, and he'll probably just have to join mid-segment. Let's see. Yeah, that's what it is. Walsh, BRA@IU.com or at IU.edu.
That's not what you said a minute ago.
Well, I must have just read it wrong. It was Walsh BRA@IU. Oh, I did put .com. Man, I am stupid. That is my fault.
Yeah, it's EDU.
Right. It is. That's my fault. All right, let me send that over to him then.
You guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry about that.
Okay, he has the right link now. Charlie, we can hear you just fine. Jim, just whenever he messes with his phone, since he's remote, he's
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
We may have
a
delay coming back if he doesn't connect.
Yeah.
Who doesn't connect?
Yeah, my bad.
Oh, there we go. Here he is. Did you hear me saying I sent the email again?
I can hear everything. See, I can.
Oh,
That's the weird thing. I can hear everything that's going on. You just can't see and hear me for some reason.
All right, here
I
we go.
see you now.
dealer?
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Friday. Hope you had a great week and ready for the weekend. Charlie Miller is with us. You want to talk about starting off your weekend great? We got Charlie. We got great weather. What's the weather like down in Dallas?
Not too bad. Probably in the 80s. Not bad at all.
Not bad.
I'm in the gym a lot. So to be real with you, so when people say it's hot outside, I say that sucks for you.
Oh man, what's your weekend like? Hey, Brian. Let's see, Brian joining us. Hey, Brian, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on? Good morning, guys.
Got Charlie Miller here with us as well.
Awesome.
How you doing, Brian?
How you doing, man?
Doing great.
Good.
Charlie, you probably don't know Brian. Brian has been with the IU program for a couple of years. Started out in recruiting, now director of player development, I believe now, right, Brian?
Team and recruiting coordinator by name of title. But That's what's on the website, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So help me understand with that role. I'm asking because I'm not privy to, because there's a lot of changes over the years. So tell me about that role if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So in my current role, there's a little bit of logistical things that I do that I help with Ben Sanders as far as administration and those aspects. But for the most part, my job duties are essentially recruiting all the way around. And what that looks like is, there's rules and regulations that the NCAA has based off different positions and non-coaching personnel. But with COVID, they've allowed some rule changes, which have really been positive for my specific role. So what I do is I try to get the younger kids that the coaches aren't really spending a lot of their time on yet. I'm trying to set the table, if you will, with the class of 2023s, 2024.
There you go.
And identifying who those guys are, building those relationships, and then when the time comes, just passing them off to the assistants. So, we're ahead and they know who we are, and the relationship has been built.
Charlie, of course, the former All-American, played at IU, but he still continues working with the kids as well every day as he does camps virtually almost 5 days a week. Charlie, you're on the front lines. You're with the kids that are before, or actually that Brian's talking to.
Yeah, sometimes, it depends, right? Because, Brian, I'm not saying this is always the case, Brian, but we're looking for diamonds in the rough, right? They got to be, there's a potential.
Yes.
Right? There's a potential build-up. So by the time they go through that filter to say, okay, Coach Woodson, I've identified, we've been tracking. He's our guy. He plays the way we talk about. So correct. But yeah, I have a lot of respect for that because that's pretty cool, given that you are the eyes for the coaches and understanding what the coaches are after too. I'm want to show you guys meet what you're looking for, what kind of player. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been a big learning experience the first couple months. To your point, identifying what is Coach Woodson looking for, the intangibles.
That's right.
The skill set that he's trying to bring in and build, that tailors directly to his system. So there has been some tweaking of that. But yeah, again, to your point, it's kind of scouring, the top list, the top 100, and then reaching out to those people and finding out information, about the young man and his family and whoever's surrounding him. And if it's not a good situation, then, we move on to the next guy. Just because, as you know, a lot of these higher up recruits and whatnot, there's a lot that comes with them. So trying to, get to the correct people can be challenging, but that's ultimately my job to do that.
How do you see, Brian? Go ahead, Charlie.
Go ahead, Jim. Sorry. No, I was going to just say, go ahead, Jim. I'm stopped.
This live stuff is rough, man. I'm just going to ask Brian that with NIL, are you seeing the impact down there with those guys already? Because I know, the seniors, they're all looking for that. They're all looking to potentially what may lay out there. Are you already seeing that with those sophomores and juniors?
It's a really great question because we're really on the front lines of the NIL and what it can mean to the future recruits, which I think it's going to have a way bigger impact on the class of 23s and 24s because they're going to be educated on it more so than the 22 class or the 21 class that it just opened up. So we're trying to navigate those waters right now. Indiana University, Scott Dolson, and our administration has done a phenomenal job educating our players and parents and even our staff. So when we're talking to these recruits, we have really good selling points with our fan base, the support of the program. But that stuff is going to play a major role in a lot of these kids' decisions because when you go to schools like Indiana University and couple that with a young man who has a big social media following, there's opportunity to make some serious money that these kids are going to be able to do when they get to college. So it's something that I have taken a deep dive in, and I want to try to be one of the best in the country at figuring out, hey, how this is going to work. So when we sell it to the recruits, they're like, there's no chance I'm going to a different school because they don't have the following that IU has, which is going to make the difference dollar-wise.
And that's almost becoming a bigger recruiting point as the school and the coach before. And I hate to say that, but it's nuts to see that get so big so fast.
Like normally, this was stuff that was talked off the camera.
Yes.
This stuff was not talked about. Only the circles of the circles talked. Okay, hey, and I'm just sharing from experience, not saying anything happened, but I've been around the block a little bit. This used to be the after hour napkin talk. This is now front line.
It is.
I mean, I got a great story, Jim. I don't want to say it because Brian, I don't want Brian to be affiliated with our stories. I'm done. I don't have eligibility. I can say what I want to say. I want to be PC with Brian. Let's keep Scott and everybody happy with Coach Charlie saying now. I got a great story about being in a hallway at a ABCD camp coming up. Brian, you will not be on the call for this, so don't worry about it. But it's just amazing to know. I mean, I can't even fathom what you and everybody else has to now go into saying what you can offer, literally, versus just a great education, great exposure, great networking, like everybody else, but it's a different day and age with the NIL.
It sure has. It has opened up a completely new avenue to sell. And, thankfully, we're in an unbelievable position because of the tradition that we have, the fan base that we have. So there's a lot of different schools that are playing catch up to IU, right?
Yeah.
And so we want to hammer that to the recruits. But at the end of the day, it still is about Coach Woodson and the staff and who he is as a person and the player development and relationships and academics. The NIL, honestly, is just a cherry on top. And it's a nice cherry.
Man.
I'll tell you that.
You might have to start getting some financial advisors. That's like
that's kind of that's another challenge of this whole deal is we can't facilitate anything, so we're just educating our guys. But the guys that are really going to have great opportunities, I mean, you have to pay taxes on that stuff. So like making sure that
they need
the right people around them is of utmost importance. So
the academic advisor's role has just also increased.
Absolutely.
Brian, I also saw something about the student athletes at IU, kind of, I don't want to use the word unionizing, but coming together to I don't know if it's to better utilize this or make it better, but are you aware of that, how the IU students, athletes are coming together in that form? Unionizing is not the right word. It's not, they're not trying to do that. They're just trying to benefit as much as possible in the right way and do everything the correct way.
That's
correct. As a group.
Yes. Like I told you guys before, there's been kind of like a task force of personnel, right, in the athletic department, headed by Scott Dolson and some of the administrators and coaches kind of selected from each staff. And you're constantly kind of looking around the country at what are other schools doing and where are the opportunities that you can kind of get in and still do it the right way. And I've been extremely impressed with us being on the front lines of doing everything. So to answer your question, yes, they are doing some initiatives that at the end of the day is going to really help our student athletes promote their name, image, and likeness, and hopefully be able to capitalize off that.
And what you're doing is actually, as I don't want to say as important as what Coach Woodson is doing or anything like that, but it's the level of importance of that has really risen in meteoric time, and it is going to be as important to Indiana's recruiting as, I don't want to say as the wins and losses, but it's really getting up there for the elite type players. So your recruiting end has normally, that if you put that on a level of importance, you're going to think the head coach and on down. Man, I look at what you're doing is kind of up there in the level of importance.
Yeah, I think we all have a job to do. I'm not going to say my job is more important than anyone else's because it's not, right? It's my job to do an excellent job and get, like Charlie said, figure out which recruits fit Coach Woodson. That's number one. this other stuff Coach Fife likes to call is kind of fluff, right? Not really the nuts and bolts. But it is a player, and we're positioned well. And the kids with bigger social media followings, I mean, it's just a fact that they're just going to have better opportunities. So when you look at their Twitter and their Instagram handles, their following, and you see one guy has a couple $100,000, your sell to him may be a little bit more real than someone else who only has a couple thousand. But at the end of the day, not every recruit is into that, right? Not every parent cares about that. Some keep it A, B, C, D, right? Academics, coaching staff, basketball opportunity is the main thing, right? Keep the main thing. But, oh, by the way, we also can provide you this.
Well, let's talk some basketball. You're getting ready to go to the Bahamas. The first opportunity to get this team out and see them against somebody other than yourselves. What's it been like, first of all, practice? You got all the new guys in there, the new faces. There's like 6 new faces in there. What has been the chemistry? What's the chemistry been like? What's the team been like? How's it been going?
I think the chemistry has been unbelievable. Now, obviously, it's a new staff, and everyone's kind of on the honeymoon stage, right? We haven't lost a game, right? So everything's been great. The new players have meshed really well with the old players and the returning players. And it's just been incredible to, watch Coach Woodson and the staff kind of slowly implement what he's trying to do, right? It's going to take time. We're by no means a finished product. We've only been doing this for, 2 months, if that, not even really on court stuff, so about 6 weeks. So implementing a new style of play and all that, there's a huge learning curve, terminology, what coach is looking for, spacing on the floor. But it is exciting because this time of year, the guys are usually, back home and taking a break before school starts. So it's a unique opportunity to get the staff and the players together and kind of get an idea of what it will look like and then go have some fun in the Bahamas.
And it's some learning experience for you, too. New terminology for you, some things that you have to learn. And you mentioned finding the players that fits Mike Woodson. What is that type of player? What is he looking for?
It's a great question. Yeah, I think he's looking for versatility. In the NBA, he talks a lot about positionless basketball. He doesn't want to put a guy in a box and say, okay, you're a catch and shoot 2-man, or you're a 4 that's back to the basket. He wants players that can dribble, pass, and shoot. So, for instance, one thing that Race is working on right now is taking it off the rebound and pushing the ball and then initiating the offense, right? So he doesn't want it to be a traditional big man catches it, outlets it to the wall, we run a set play. It's a lot more free flowing. It's a lot of reads. So in that aspect, that's kind of what he's looking for. Got to be able to pass, dribble, and shoot, and athleticism is something that he puts a premium on as well.
That sounds very familiar. Before you joined us, I was talking to Charlie, who played for Coach Knight in the 90s, and was talking that Coach Knight did not have set plays, and people just don't understand that. And as Charlie was saying, it's more like what you're talking about, more of a free-flowing, get out and get gone. Charlie, that's almost exactly what we just talked about.
No, I mean, and that's what you want. I mean, and now, Brian, you're talking about, going after players what Coach Woodson want, but players also want to be put in a position to do what they do best.
Yeah.
Right? So, Coach, can you help promote me at what I do best? Can you allow me to play my game? And 2 things for me that I really, talk about a lot with players and sharing this, and I just want to get perspective, Brian, on this is, and if I have to elaborate, I will, but I think 2 things players really need to really excel. One is possessions. All this stuff does not matter. I don't care what we do, club basketball, whatever. It's possessions. You need in-game possessions and margin for error. You need room to grow. To me, the players that can adapt to Coach Woodson's philosophy, his ways, get those 2 things will put themselves in position. So, what's your take on that? On what I just said as far as the players that also have just come into you all, Brian?
Yeah, no, Jim, this is obviously a very intelligent basketball player. He's speaking the language that Coach Woodson is speaking, in the sense that it is about possessions. It's about, first and foremost, being nasty on defense. And then he was always saying, get the stop on defense.
Philosophy, mentality.
Yes. Both. Some things that he speaks on daily. And, it's about, excuse me, striking fast. Doing these different things in transition where the defense can't get back and set up.
There you go.
Advanced pass, advancing in,
that's my
away
guy.
screen, all those different things, kind of like motion. So it's
I'm in the locker room, Jim. I'm in the locker room. I'm in the locker room. Hey, so one thing I want to share, man. One thing I want to share, Brian, if you could pass this on to the players.
Yeah.
Especially when you have an influx of terminology that's really big, right? Because that doubt, catching that thought, attacks you. Oh, that's what we did with Coach so-and-so. I thought, if you can think it mentally, if you can say it verbally, you can do it physically, you got it. And that, to me, is where the repetition is going to have to come in on film study, on taking notes, not just keeping that stuff in your head, right? I'm not saying that that's something that is mandatory, but if you think it, you got to ink it.
Right.
You're talking, I'm writing. Right? And it's like, that's the thing.
About being a student of the game, studying film. We send it to them every night. Go home.
Yeah, man, because that's the key. You got to be able to find a way to articulate what, and as close as you, it won't be like a coach, right? Coach Woodson has over 50 plus years of watching, playing games. But if I can get it as close as I can to articulating, especially in games where we don't have time to teach in games. It's just correction, right? Who can adopt? Who can adapt? Who can adjust? If they can be able to articulate what coach is asking for and know strike fast, fast break, disrupt, blow up lines, whatever, we'll give ourselves a fighting chance. And I think at best, like you said, it'll be a building block. So that's good to hear. It's really good to hear.
Ryan, you ready to go to the Bahamas?
I'm really looking forward to it. It's get out of Bloomington here for a week or so. I've never been to the Bahamas. I've heard it's really, really nice. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity and just spending time with the guys outside, basketball. That's where you can kind of build that camaraderie and chemistry.
That's right.
And they can get to know me more as who I am as a person, with my wife being on the trip. And I think that's really important. And I've taken 2 foreign tours in my young coaching career, and both of those tours have gone on to be really good years for the team. So I'm hoping that all this time spending together will pay dividends as we move through.
The bonding. I mean, how much of that, of the importance of that, comes out of this trip? Just the bonding, not the basketball, not the playing the BC team, but the bonding of this team, and not just the team, everybody, the staff, like you just mentioned.
I think it's huge, because a lot of times, when they're around the coaches, they may view us as the police or, hey, we're in trouble, but it's not like that. It's this staff, more than anyone that I've ever been a part of, is about relationships. And I think you're seeing that kind of with Tom Allen over at football. And when you know that the coach cares for you more than just what you're doing on the basketball floor, that's when special things can happen. And that's when you get players to buy in and they want to run through walls for you. That's what we're trying to get that to.
Absolutely. How's the golf game?
Fine. I get out when I can. It could be better, but I've played IU a few times this summer, which is beautiful. So I wish my game was a little bit better than it is, but
don't we all?
I still try to get out there when I can.
What's it been like working with Dane Fife? That's the question. Most of us have been around Dane, know Dane. This was probably your first experience around Dane, I'm going to imagine.
Yeah, Dane's a firecracker, man. He's going at all times, but he's just another guy that I'm just trying to learn from. He's been at a Final Four here at Indiana, had great success, McDonald's All-American, was a head coach for 6 years and went to Michigan State and learned from a Hall of Fame coach. So for me as a young guy on staff, I'm just looking to help him any way that I can and learn from him as much as I can. But he's unique, he's definitely unique in the greatest way.
Absolutely. Brian, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us before you head out. We're going to get to talk to some other coaches today as we have a presser with them. But before you guys head out, have a great trip. We appreciate it. Look forward to getting you back on here as the season goes on and talking some more.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you guys having me, Charlie. Very nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you. Tell everybody I said hello. Tell Tim Garl hello. Or tell everybody I said hi. Good luck.
I will.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you very much. Brian Walsh joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with more from the Indiana Football Complex right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans.
That was great.
That was awesome. Yeah. No, right on the money, man. I mean, because that's what it comes down to. I mean, as much as you know, and we can talk about this, you know, next segment, but we don't have to. But a lot of what I realized, Jim, man, it's not the physical game. It's more emotional intelligence. It's more mental intelligence. It's like how can you make these adjustments, man?
4-1, right? 4-1,
That's
right?
it, man. How can you make these adjustments and play the game that you know, love, and respect, and get what you came for, get better?
If it was easy, everybody'd do it.
That's right.
John, we have any other sound?
Yeah, I've got your question from Nick Sheridan next.
Because we don't have any other guests, I don't think, do we?
Not unless you book someone else, which I don't think you did.
I did not.
Yep. I can't remember what your question said. It was whenever I was trying to listen to you and then listening to the thing at the same time. But it is your question. What
does he say? Do you remember what he said?
Let me see if I can get on my phone real quick.
I can try to remember what I asked him.
I'll find it. I remember the timestamp, so give me a second.
Go on.
Mix
it up a little.
Goodness.
What did I ask him? I don't remember.
I'll be able to tell you in a second. Sorry, hold on.
Too many questions, man. Asking too many people, too many questions, Charlie.
I know that. How can that be?
I need to get you up here to do a camp, man.
Yeah, I don't.
You asked him about. Sorry to interrupt. You asked him about DeLond and Stephen Carr.
Okay. What's that, Charlie?
I would love to. You know what I'm saying? I would love to. I know it'll be sometime in September at best.
So they have camps still going on then, even after the high school season starts?
No, we stop by October. Like they call their fall camp.
Oh, September. Yeah.
Yeah, September, yeah.
Coming back in.
Homemade coffee cakes and much more. Sam's Place in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Friday. It's a beautiful Friday in Bloomington, Indiana. I'm coming to you from the Indiana Football Complex as the first day of football is going on right now behind me for the Hoosiers. Charlie Miller with us. Today, we just finished up with Brian Walsh, the basketball program, heading off to the Bahamas next week. Actually, I could almost turn that around and give you a shot of Assembly Hall if you want me to. Did that, but
it froze, Jim.
Yeah. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Just give you a shot of Assembly Hall back there behind me, straight that direction. But back in your days. How long has it been since you've been up here? 2 years?
Oh man, so 2 years.
I think it
so
has
many
been about 2
changes.
years.
So many changes. I mean, what used to be the convenience store is the convenience store on the corner.
Yeah, the funny thing is they built that new complex
around it.
All around it. They would not give up their little corner store that has been there since I was in college. It has been there forever. It was Dave's. When I was in college, it was Dave's. And it's not that anymore. But
on the corner.
17th in Indiana.
I might be outdating myself, but it was Jackson Heights Apartments across the street.
That's where all the players lived.
That's where we lived. We lived Jackson.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You had the credit union, but now it's a whole. It's like a whole nother place when you go to Kirkwood. Like so commercialized to me. Only word I can think of: hotels and chains and.
Charlie, if you see where the players live now, it's in that deal that's around that convenience store. That's high-rise apartment deal. That it's unbelievable. But not just they live there; everybody lives there. It's a 6-story, gigantic. I lived in a. I remember living in a house that had bullet holes in the refrigerator when I was in college. So I was not living in some high-rise like that. I can promise you that.
Well, and also, I mean, it goes with the territory, right? Because I also know, which was a big deal for me, when I found out that they built Cook Hall, right? And the practice facility. And we didn't have that, when I was in college. We would practice at the university school next to the old golf course. And you there, Jim? Am I?
Looks like we're struggling again. No, you're good. You're good, Charlie. He just dropped. He dropped again.
Okay, am I good? Okay, yeah. So I'll just keep talking. So we didn't. So it was a big deal for me to even understand that the players will have 24-hour access to a practice facility where if they wanted to come in and get jump shots and a workout, they can do that. That was pretty amazing to me. So he's paused.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's something. I don't know if he messed with his phone or if it's maybe he said he can hear us usually. So
okay, gotcha. All right. Well, John, this is my turn to take over, John.
Yeah, that's right. It's Charlie's time. Hey, people have been missing you because you've been doing your stuff with your attack basketball program. They've been waiting to hear from you.
Oh man, so that and I don't see the comments, so that definitely is motivation. I can't definitely do it at Jim's level. I mean, he's a pro, but I just love to be myself and do my best at providing insight from a player standpoint, also from the person I am today as a player development coach. So I want to read that comment. Really cool to hear Charlie talk about things because it shows how the game's evolved and how Knight changed the way the game is looked at. Yes, yeah, the game is definitely evolved. And I would tell you all, I don't know if I can't talk to every other player at IU. I don't know how if I realized how privileged we were for playing for a coach like Coach Knight. You don't take him for granted, but the insight that was provided, you got to understand. Now, I get that now because here's my homework and research to share this with you. I wrote a book called My Attack Planner, and Coach Knight actually endorsed the book. And doing research on Coach Knight, I knew about Coach Pete Newell. Go look him up. I'm not going to really go into too much details on Coach Pete Newell. But Coach Pete Newell was Coach Knight's mentor. What was interesting, for some reason, I just got this insight as a player development coach to really start diving into like shortening the court, small-sided games. We did a lot of 2 versus 0, 5 versus 0, dummy defense, but just really movement. And Pete Newell was someone who introduced that like the Coach Knight. And doing researching on Pete Newell, Coach Pete Newell he said he would go to basketball camps and try to come back and do all these things he learned, but realize he asked himself one question: does it fit what we are doing? And if the answer is no, so he started to develop his own system. So he is like a pioneer in the 5-out motion offense, which Coach Knight was an avid student of, and that's what we played. Coach Knight had his version. And what I realized is everyone has their way of playing. It's not right or wrong. It's just a different way to play. Right? You take John Calipari when he was at Memphis. They pioneered dribble drop motion. It was not called dribble drop motion. It was literally called, Jim, dribble dribble pass, skip dribble dribble. That's what it was called. I'm not lying.
That's very descriptive.
Dribble dribble pass, because that's what it was. You got to think layup when you put the ball on the ground. You got to look to pass it. You got to look to skip it. Get ball reversals. So then it was like, hey, we're gonna call it dribble drop motion, right? And then Derrick Rose was really a player who really helped that process kind of take off, right? So that's my interest, right? I mean, I'm not saying this is easy either. I'm not saying this is easy for Charlie to say to go coach in college or NBA or high school. My role, I'm a fan of player development. I eat, sleep what Brian was talking about. Tendencies, philosophies, mentalities. How can we help these guys and girls get better for life? How can we set them up for success? I call it GPS, game plan for success. That's my thing, and I owe a lot of that to Coach Knight. I think I told you, Jim, and I'm done after this. I don't know if he was joking. I don't know, because he did have some explicit words with it. I'm not gonna say these words, but he turned to me one day in the locker room and said, Charlie, if you ever want to learn how to do something, but ever was the F word. If you ever want to learn how to do something, you got to learn how to teach it. And he just walked off. And that was a seed that he planted 20-something years ago. I was like, wait, what did he just say to me? Oh, and then years later, it was when you teach, you learn twice. Got it. That's why I told Brian, if you can think it, if you can say it, you can articulate it, you can do it. You can be it. That's teaching. That's the way. Stuff doesn't go away from me, man. It sticks. So I just wanted to share that. We lost you, Jim. I had to take over for 45 seconds.
Glad you. So well, you had the most important stuff to say anyway, and that is a great learning tool. It is the fact of, because I don't hear anybody else talking like that when you hear former players hardly ever talk about their days. They don't. It's like, man, we were good. Did this. Every time I talk to a former IU player, it is like this. I mean, from that era, they talk about. They talk about having their stacks of notebooks that you have to have. That they all still have. Everybody still has their notebooks, and it's a treasure trove of information.
Yes, and I don't show this to like brag, but like this is Coach Knight. You see all those dang on books back there? That's Coach Knight's influence. Like that's Coach Knight's influence on me. And again, when he said that to me, I see it and I get it now, because that's something you can't take away from somebody. What's the quickest way out of any situation? Education, intelligence. Right? Learning by experience, action, support, right? And a lot of information is put in books. Like one guy is like, hey, I don't need 60 years to get better. I just need 10 months. You're going to tell me everything you didn't do. You're going to put it in a book. I'm going to read that book. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do my best. At the end of the day, it's really what not to do. It's not what to do. It's what not to do. That's really the way of going.
You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're coming to you live from the first day of Indiana football practice out here at the football complex in Bloomington on the Indiana campus. We're back with more Charlie Miller right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for a
Is that Jim walking away? I didn't pay attention.
Man, I'm hoping he's not going to the woods, man. And we're not on TV. You might have to cut him off, John.
Like that show Survivor, man.
The hell, he doing some sprints or something? What is he doing?
He might be trying to get a look at football practice.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to be able to get down there taking pictures.
I was like, I'm hoping he's not going to the woods. You may have to turn his feed off.
I turned that stupid thing around and lost my signal.
Oh, good. That's impressive, man, to be on your feet. The duration of the show. I get it. I get it, man.
Got to do it, man. Got to do it.
Okay, so here is interesting stat. The camps I do, each day is 6 miles of like equivalent in steps.
That's like soccer, man.
Each single day.
Damn, that's like soccer.
In St. Louis, I was out of my mind. I played golf Friday, 18 holes at camp. I couldn't play. I played Saturday, 9 holes after camp. 9 to 5 was camp. And I played golf afterwards.
I think we lost him again.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm
sorry
listening.
about this, Charlie. If it's
no, bro, no, it's fine. He's outside. I get it. Hey, look,
you're one of the most understanding human beings I've ever interacted with. I want to say that right now.
Say it again.
You're one of the most understanding human beings I've ever interacted with.
I'm gonna tell you, this goes back to you gotta be patient, man. Like a lot of this stuff we can't control.
Yeah.
Hey, he goes outside. You know it. You don't deal with the elements. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was actually here the whole time. I could hear you all, but you all couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
No, that's because I was sending a text message to Kevin Brockway to try to take some pictures.
Yeah, man.
Down at
like
the
thing. Elements gonna bring some consequences, John. It is what it is, bro. I appreciate what you're saying. I mean, you outside, it's gonna take on that responsibility. So, hey, man.
All right,
he gives me 20 seconds of shine.
That's right. We got 10 seconds. Let's come back in.
Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. We're coming to you live from the football complex here at Indiana University. First day of practice for the Hoosiers. Actually, and then later after football practice across the way at the Assembly Hall, Mike Woodson and crew will be talking to us via Zoom as they prepare to go to the Bahamas. Just spoke to Brian Walsh a little bit about several things involving that. Charlie, when you were able to go on those trips with the team, what was it like with the guys? What were those trips? Was it just fun? Besides that, we talked about the historical aspect of it, but the trips itself and being with the guys and getting away from campus and all that stuff. What benefits came from that? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, because I think when you travel, you don't come back the same because there's going to be experiences, things that happen that you're going to galvanize, bond together, and now you're going to hopefully take that into the next experiences. So I know going to Hawaii, I know going to NCAA tournaments, post season stuff. It's a different atmosphere, right? Because also you gotta prepare. You're not just. It's just not a weekend trip, right? So I'm more sitting there talking to those guys, especially with the element of COVID, right? I'm more sitting there talking to those guys about security, safety, health, what you're doing, what you're eating, all those things that are coming to play. At the same time, you may be rooming with somebody that you don't room with today. So you're going to get to learn a lot about that person, their habits. It is what it is. So you get to learn a lot about your teammates. And I think in essence, that's what it's about. It's about how quick can we bond together and play for one another. And just to share with just share, I don't like that word buy-in because again, when the buy-in doesn't work, now I use that against. We're committed, man. We're committed to this opportunity. We signed up to come to this school to get better, to win, to promote ourselves, or whatever it might be, to promote the school. But it's a commitment. And I think that's what that relationship Brian talked about. That's what you hope takes off. Because now when the coaches aren't around, who's going to step up in the locker room and the lead is if the coaches are there? That's integrity. That's what you want, man.
And that leads me to my next question that I'd already had. What does this mean for those seniors and those freshmen on this trip? You got guys, these 18-year-old kids. Some of these kids, they probably have traveled because of AAU now. Back in the day, a lot of times these kids have not been anywhere. That's probably not the case anymore. They probably have all been all over. But this is still a level up. It's still Division I college. This is still Indiana University. It's still the Big Ten. So you got guys that have played 4 years. Miller Kopp, who's a new face here, but he's a 3-year starter in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
You got the guys that have already been here: Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson, Rob Finnessy. Those older guys. You got a lot of new faces and a lot of young faces too that has to all be integrated.
Yeah, and you hope that you got to keep an edge. You got to keep an edge. You got to keep your identity intact because that's what got you to that level, right? That's what got you there as a freshman. And I know a lot of these freshmen, like if you take Tamar Bates, you're from Kansas City to Florida and to a lot of the things he's probably done with traveling. His AAU experience, right? You hope there's a level of humility that's in place, right? And everyone's grounded, and you hope the Rob Finnessys are teaching, showing the ropes, keep passing the tradition on to the younger players. And now because of the transfer portal, right now you got Miller coming in, you got Xavier coming in. There's like a middle ground too. So now you don't just have, seniors, juniors that have been there and now freshmen. You got also juniors coming in from other places. So you hope there's a round of humility. And again, galvanization happen as well.
Absolutely. And hopefully that does happen in the Bahamas. Those games, not on television, not on radio. You can go to thehoosier.com for coverage of that, though, as thehoosier.com will be there for that. They're playing an international team that it's one of those teams that these aren't kids. They're going to be playing against some men probably, or at least definitely some mature kids. Any international team is a group that usually plays together for a long time. It's like an extension of AAU over there.
Yeah. Well, and you hope this is one thing that I hope that we don't have players that are like this. You okay, Jim? Okay. I'm hoping that we don't have players like this, because I can see this, and I can see the referees talking to Coach Woodson and staff. Hey, I'm not calling a lot of fouls, and I won't be surprised if Coach Woodson and staff talk to the referee and say, "Hey, swallow that whistle. Don't call as many body checks. Don't call as many blocks. Let's see how our guys respond. Let's see if they put the palms up. Let's see if they cry, or can they play through that?" Because to me, that's what this is about. It's not about necessarily the successes that may happen. It's how can we overcome that adversity? Can we still advance from being behind? Can we use those as teaching points to accelerate our learning curves? I think that's what this trip's more about, accelerating the learning curve. And you're playing against grown men, possibly. Fouls, holes, stuff you're not used to, trash talking. How are you going to respond and how you're going to come out, I think is the biggest piece for me. I'll be interested in understanding.
Yeah, and Brian mentioned, they're working on several different things. Race Thompson just getting the ball and getting out and starting the offense. And because we heard so much over the last couple of years of tempo, and that was never the case. Well, man, you talk about getting it going with your big guy. That's tempo. Get out and get it gone.
And I'm going to tell you what's going to probably happen. A trip or two. It's going to throw the ball handlers off. Right? If you're not used to me bringing the ball to the court, yes, we have new terminology. Yes, we're wide open to play. I might be coming to the ball, or you might be coming to the ball, Jim. Charlie's taking off. You're like, what just happened? But yeah, that's what these games are. Those are possessions. Oh man, you know what? We got a whole nother way of play. Trace gets it out. I don't need to catch it on the U. I don't need to catch it on a banana cut up the sideline. I can run. I can be a wing. Right? I can get out. So I think there's going to be play here there that's going to probably happen like that. But it's going to be good and cool to see. And those players will be like, oh man, we got a lot more freedom. We got a lot more flexibility. We have a lot more room to play.
And also, it's the same for everybody. It's the same for everybody. Everybody's coming in, and it doesn't matter if it's the 5 or 6 guys that are new or the guys that were here. It's everybody has the same learning curve here. It's all new for everybody because it's a different staff for all of them. No one played for this staff or this system last year.
When a coach says he wants quick strikes, coach talk to layman's terms, he does not want to run a play. I tell people all the time, basketball is not come down the court and play half court. It's quick strike. Make them react. If they backpedal, that's their you know what. The ball is up there, you know what, and it's in the hole. We're shooting free throws and layups.
That's why there's a shot clock.
Yeah. Quick strike, who cares about pass here, pass there? Nothing against the last regime. I'm not talking about them. But quick strike mentality, it's pass, cut, drive, kick, dunk it, ball screen. That's basketball, right? And you have to have a wit mind. Whatever it takes, WIT, you have to have a wit mind to get that done.
Got to get the first best shot every time instead of too many times waiting till the last 5 seconds of a shot clock just to force a shot.
That's right.
You talk about possessions, getting that first best shot will oftentimes give you the opportunity on those offensive rebounds to get a second shot. But if you're waiting and running the shot clock down, that's not going to happen very often because now you're usually not in position. You're usually out of position because you're forcing things late. So,
well, if you go back, and I'm not to go back. If you go back, I go back and watch film from last year before. Again, it was scripted in a sense of where the ball went. The ball screen was not intentionally set to get downhill. The ball screen led to a pitch pass. It led to other things. Nothing against that. But now for me, here I want to share Coach Charlie's philosophy. There's 5 things I'm after on team offense. Brian mentioned one of them. Great spacing. You got to have that. The key principle is you want to be 12 to 15 feet away from each other. Okay? Ball movement. The key principle is get ball reversals. If you get ball reversals, you shift the defense where, again, just like Brian said, they are never settled. Third, player movement. This is individual skills. You got to be hard to guard. That's Coach Ron Felling. I can hear him in my ear right now. Be hard to guard. Fourth, penetrate, pick, pitch, drive, and kick. You have to do that, and great screening. If they do those 5 things, the best shot will always be available.
Getting some basketball lessons this morning. You listen to Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you live from the Indiana Football Complex as they kick off football practice. We're back with more with Charlie Miller right after this.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking.
Yeah, that was kind of early, but Oh, well, early for our last break is what I mean.
Oh, it's all good.
I think he's got something he's got to take care of, looks like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Oh, good.
Hey, Jim, that was our last break. Just want to let you know.
Yeah, it's 10:40, right?
34, but it's fine.
Oh. Man,
all good.
I wish I could go down there and watch practice. Daggone it.
Oh, they won't let you in?
Well, not when I'm doing the show.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Yeah, I could walk right down there and walk in, and then I think it ends at 11. But at 11, we got that stupid basketball thing over here.
Got it.
Like I'm literally going to have to be walking to basketball as doing the show. As I probably should have walked over to Assembly Hall and that deal.
That's right. That's the flexibility.
We got to do what we got to do, Charlie.
Got to do it.
Make it happen, baby. Just make it happen. Yeah, I got to get you up here, man.
You know, also you say that. Keep in mind too, man. You know, Lord willing, you know, nothing happens with COVID, but I would love to come up and also like pre-game talk, and then if you do things halftime and then post-game, how you normally do it with Todd, I would love to be there and do
absolutely.
That. I think that'd be cool, man.
Absolutely.
If we could find a way to get that, man, that'd be cool.
Well, anytime you come up, because any home game, we do stuff and afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
So absolutely. But give me some dates for September.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get to Bloomington because Tim Gall, talked about Coach Knight. He said, man, because you need to come see him, and I do. I gotta come. It's been a couple of years. I gotta come see him. I gotta coach. He was like, man, you gotta come see Coach. So,
yeah, it's
Tim gets on me. Tim will call me, man. Where you're at, where you been, what's going on, and and I appreciate Tim for doing that.
You need to get with John Leskowski. John goes over there once a week, so that
we got
would probably make it easier.
Okay. Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're coming to you live from the Indiana Football Complex today as Indiana kicking off their first day of practice. And we've got presser with the basketball program later as soon as we get off today as well. So all kinds of stuff going on. Beautiful day out here. Sun came out a minute ago. I had to put my sunglasses and visor on. I couldn't see anything. Charlie, what's the weekend looking like? You got to travel this weekend, or you get one off?
No. Traveling Monday, going to Centralia, Washington, the state of Washington.
Wow.
I believe it's about 30 minutes outside of Seattle. So I'll leave on Monday. So this weekend, around the players that, because of my travel, I got some workouts starting right after the call. I'll get ready to go to the gym. I'm in the gym and got about 2 or 3 players I'll be able to train. And I got some golf on the agenda tomorrow. I got some golf on the agenda. I gotta get my strikes in and my strokes.
Well, yeah. When you come up here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
we'll be playing at Eagle Point and at the Bloomington Country Club and at the IU course.
Oh yeah,
a nice little round of it.
And I'm a nut. I'm getting better, and I don't care. Like I love to play, and I think that's like the best thing. Being out and about, talking, not worrying about that shot, having fun. So, and I leave Monday to go to the state of Washington, Centralia, And I'll definitely get an 18 in before camp on Tuesday.
My I used to be a television sports anchor. My last TV job was in Washington State. That's a long way away, man. That's a long way out there.
But they're beautiful. The weather.
It is. I was on the east side, though. The east side of Washington is the exact opposite of the west side. When you think of Seattle and the green and the trees, there's a mountain range that runs through the middle of the state. It is opposite. It is desert-like. They have to irrigate. It was no humidity, though. It's a great thing. There was no humidity.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I played golf, and I had like a 12-foot putt, and it went like 1,000 feet because it was like putting on a parking lot. And I was like, what just happened? Crazy. But, getting all over the place.
Yeah, but Spokane, I love Spokane. I've been in Spokane like 3 times. I played in last October. Was in Spokane and played. It was cold. Ooh, it was cold, but had fun. There was a family out there that. That's one good thing about these camps. I go to different markets, and I've been with this company, Breakthrough Basketball, for 6 years. I have players that travel, man. Sometimes I get players coming from Canada, British Columbia, because Seattle is not too far, right? BC. People come across that border. People fly in from different places. I had a young lady come as far as the Philippines one time to attend a camp of mine, man. I mean, it's humbling, man. It's just like people, it's like, oh, we came to learn from you. And it's like, wow, I don't take that lightly. I don't. It means a lot. So I got to make sure I get my coaching reps and I'm prepared for these camps.
Well, I mean, when you talk about Coach Knight and how much of a teacher he was, that obviously, and you said that it left an indelible mark on you, but it's more than that. You followed up on it. You continue to learn, to research, to grow.
That's right.
And that's the thing. You have to continue to grow. Knight didn't stop. Knight was a big historian, but he always kept reading. Always kept, because I would be quite certain a lot of his philosophies came from what he was reading from historical things.
You just knocked it out of the park. Exactly right. If you go also not too far down the street from Coach John Wooden, the same way. The way he grew up on the farm, a lot of his dad's philosophies, their humble starts and beginnings, is all he took into consideration when he started coaching, right? Watching his favorite player right down the street from Bloomington. I think in Martinsville, his favorite player played and won a state championship. He copied everything he did. So you got it. It's straight on. That's exactly it. That's why I think it's like sports is one of those things where you can. I know I try to find. Okay, man, we just had a great life lesson, communication. How can I relate that to a drill or skill to build confidence in somebody on the court? You got it. You knocked it out of the park.
It's amazing that 2 of the absolute greatest and most successful minds in all of basketball at one time were 20 miles apart right here.
20 miles
in
apart.
Martinsville and Bloomington, Indiana.
And the most amazing part for me, and this is why, again, I'm very appreciative of someone like a Coach Knight, is I had 4 years around him. I had a chance to learn from him every day, right? And I don't take anything for granted that I ever learned from Coach, because it's all, it all pays for itself as you look out to, as we always talk about the basketball managers, right? We talk about the people who've gone on, the Robbie Eggers and the Richard Mandevilles, who runs his own bar, restaurant. It goes on. Whether you're doing those.
Where's that?
Richard, I don't know the name of it, but Richard runs a bar in California.
I did not know that.
Time. Yeah, you go out, man. I mean, the things that we were able to probably take from Coach Knight and then move on to their own endeavors. And so I don't.
We got AJ Moye. AJ Moye does a lot of things similar that you do out for what was the Mamba Academy.
Right. Yeah, man. So that's a good thing, man. I mean, it's you're taking your experience and you're doing your best at making this game better, right? And leaving passed on as much as you can to Coach Mike Davis, for AJ Moye, Coach Knight too, Coach John Tree, Lord, people who influenced AJ Moye as he played as a player. So yeah.
The coaching tree, not tree, but the relationships that are made, and it doesn't matter what sport you're talking about, and whether it's coaching or whatever, those relationships are crazy because how they come back around through the years, wherever you end up, however you end up, you could end up working for a guy you were an assistant with or whatever. It's just crazy how these relationships, you look at Tom Allen, how he built his staff. A lot of these guys he had relationships with. And that's why he talked about fits. You know, Brian finding the guys that Mike Woodson wants. Tom Allen finds the coaches that has to fit with him. And they do the same thing. It's about player fits. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about football or any sport. It has become the mantra, player fits. And it is more important than great players sometimes. You have to, it's more important for you to fit the system than you to be great, I think.
Well, I mean, you know, you can look at it both ways, right? Because if you take it from, again, just how I like to share routines and systems are designed to produce predictable results. That's what they're designed to do, right? And you take the system itself, the players need to have what I call better practice habits. And that's what you're really after as you hear that whistle in the background where you're getting those reps to really get down, not the routine, but just really developing strong habits. And when you develop strong habits as a player, I believe time is on your side because you become patient. I think that's what we saw with IU football. Time was on their side because they started to get players and the system that meshed where they could be more poised and patient. And then we ended up winning games that I remember we used to lose big time. Up 15 back in the 90s. I love all my friends that played football. That was going to be a 15-point loss. Something was going to happen. I don't know what. Right? 30-point swing. Got Michigan up by 20. You end up losing by 15. I remember watching Phillip Rivers play. I was like, man, this kid can play. We were up. He was playing at NC State. Oh, my God. Rocket, great game. How in the heck we lost this game? Anyway, but that's what they figured out. It's your system. But you got to get the players that fit. That's why Brian talked about relationship. I got to get them locked in on my relationship and my system. So that's it.
Yeah, it's great to see Brian excelling in that. He came here under Archie Miller, but was one of the few guys that stuck around. That says a lot about him to me, that Mike Woodson kept him, wanted to keep him here. Of course, he brought in an entire new staff, basically, other than that. And looking forward, they've been kind of quiet. We get to talk to them here in just a few minutes, and we'll have that for you later. Not on the show, of course, but we'll be off the show by then. But looking forward to that. And it's Kevin Brockway walking around, leaving football practice as he's heading in to Assembly Hall right now to get that too. But all that. John, I'm going to let you and Charlie take the last 5 minutes so I can head them to Assembly Hall, but and give a recap of maybe what coming up, and give a recap of what may be coming up. And Charlie, let everybody know where you're going to be and whenever you're going to be close. If there's any other areas that you have coming up that people can attend or anything like that, give them the information as well. So make sure we do
John
that.
And Jim, you gave me 5 minutes. I'm hoping you have a show tomorrow.
Man, well, they'll be begging us to stay on. What are you talking about? You get rid of me and all Charlie Miller, they'll stay on all day.
I'm hoping you have a show tomorrow. It's like, man, we need to take this off the air, man.
But I'm going to let you guys take over as I head up to Assembly. Well, I'm heading to Assembly Hall to talk to Mike Woodson and those guys. You guys stay on with John, but I'll talk to you over the weekend, and you guys have a great day. Thanks a lot to everybody else, to John and to Charlie, of course, and to Brian Walsh and to J.D. Campbell for helping make that happen as well. Football practice going on. We've got all of that, complete coverage as we continue throughout the season. I'll let you guys continue with Charlie and John. I'm Jim Coyle. Until Monday, I will see you on the radio.
Perfect.
Right. Thank you, Jim. And I guess it's time for John, the producer, takeover here with Charlie Miller here to wrap things up. We got a few minutes left here. I apologize if you can't really tell where I'm at on the camera because I've got to lean down so you don't hear this echo on my microphone.
I see you perfectly. You're fine, man. You're fine.
And so I know earlier you were talking about the Bahamas trip and how you think that's a good way for camaraderie. And I don't think, did you say you didn't get to experience something like that while you were?
We did not. No. And I don't even know, I wasn't privy as a player. I wasn't privileged to that information. Or even, I don't even know if that was a thought of to say, okay, we're going to do something preseason. I remember, John, if I recall, I believe if you traveled, I think you had a 2-year waiting period. There was like a NCAA rule, but that was never on the radar that I knew of when I was in college, as far as having like some type of preseason, trip like this. But I can imagine having a preseason trip like this. I think it's going to be outstanding because I think they're going to learn a lot about each other from coaches also, right? Coaches also, I think they're going to learn a lot. In-game adjustments, probably, one coach getting fired up and probably have to take a sit because he can't stand up. So there's also going to be game management from the coaching standpoint too. They're going to have to probably keep in-house, right? Because you don't want to see. Right. And then coaches have players they may be assigned and they want to make sure that their players are, they're sticking up for or getting the minutes, whatever. So it's going to be a learning curve, I think, a big one. And I think they're going to be very open to it. But just like anything else, why do you play? You play to win.
And another thing that people I've noticed were talking about in the comments earlier, I don't want to try to find and scroll through them right now, but they were talking about the possibility of the fact that there is a chance because COVID's kind of rampaging again right now. I think today is their last day for COVID testing approval. If they all reach a certain threshold, I guess I'm assuming nobody can have COVID for them to go on this Bahamas trip. And so that would be something that would be seen as a letdown if that doesn't come back the way that they would hope it would.
Right. Yeah. So one person has it. You got to think they got to isolate everybody else. So that trip is a no-go, right? And you got to imagine that I don't really see them. I'm not saying it's that I don't see them flying commercial.
No.
I don't see them flying commercial, right? Because of that situation. And I remember, when we would fly to places like a DC or Washington DC or places, I remember we would fly our own separate plane from the Bloomington airport. So I can see that. But and you hoping that nothing like that happens, like COVID really slows them down.
And another thing too, maybe you and Jim talked about this earlier, but there's no broadcast at all, whether it's radio or TV down there. What do you think that does for the team, being able to have no pressure? Nobody has to be watching them. They know that they have this time to hone for themselves and kind of learn about themselves as a team without worrying about what anybody else's opinion is of them except their own.
Well, and that's what I mentioned. I believe you got to imagine that there may be some insight where Coach Woodson is talking to the other team's coach. Hey, play us a certain way. I'm not saying this is the case, but I can see that happen. I can easily see that. Play us tough, play us hard, push us. Hey, referee, Mr. Refs, Mrs. Ref, don't call as many fouls. Let us play through it.
Yeah.
I can also see stoppage. Something happened, and they might be like, okay, wait, stop it. Let's go over that situation because it's a little open. It's like a friendly, right? It's like soccer friendlies. In soccer, you have friendlies, scrimmages. I can see stoppage, corrections. It's more of a practice tool. And that's what you hope that the players really understand and take advantage of. They're going to make it as close as a game like they will as possible to even prepare the players for what are we doing pregame, warm-up stretches, shooting around, during the game, post-game, recovery. So I think you'll have that. You'll start to gain that advantage of a routine, like Jim talked about, a system. So I can really see a lot of these things for you. You said honing, key word. We got to hone our skill as we go.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how that affects them going into the beginning of the season several months from now. I know we're also at the very beginning of football season right now, and I know you're not a football guy, but I'm sure this team will have a lot to, depending on how successful this team is, they have a lot to be able to look up to right now because of what's already happened with Indiana football and what Tom Allen's been able to do with that program.
Well, and I think that's the epitome of LEO, right? Love each other, right? I mean, I think that, so that to me, that mantra, that philosophy, and it all, again, we're all self-made. Only the successful people talk about it, right? So with him and his system and his staff and the winning they've done, there's a lot more commitment. Buy-in is when I got to convince you. We start getting those results, there's no more buy-in needed. Now we have choice. There's no more. I don't need to buy. I got players ready. Players are talking, right? So I think that's what you're getting. You get coaches from high-level programs I've seen that we were able to recruit, quote unquote, recruit high-level coaches that might be next step in the next 5 or 10 years as far as head coaches at Division I levels that we have as assistant coaches. That's what it's about, right? You want to build up your coaches. That's what the thing about a leader, in my opinion. Coach Tom Mellon, Coach Mike Woodson. It's about you, but it's really servant leadership. How can you put the Dane Fifes and all these other people in position to be promoted? How can they push you up and out, right? Right? How, and like Nick Saban's and the Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells had Coach Nick Saban, had Belichick. How can we promote you guys? I think that's what it's about. And I think that's what IU football is doing from the coaching standpoint, upward mobility to the player standpoint. And I think that's where the winning comes in. And what better program that we have to me is soccer from Coach Yeager.
Yes.
Passed down to his son, 30 plus years of a system, getting players to understand commitment level, what it takes to come. And you're always top 5, top 8 every single year, Final Four. What more can you ask for? You got a blueprint. Can you copy that blueprint?
And I know this is not directly the same thing as the Yeagleys going from father to son, but Mike Woodson being a product of Coach Knight, how much do you think that system bleeds over to him?
Well, how much does it bleed over? A lot, because of the opportunity Coach Mike Woodson was given as a player. That to me, I think goes. I don't know if we really understand how Coach Woodson probably gets up and is fired up. He used to be in that same gym as a player. You gotta understand what that means. I was in this gym as a player. I was in these locker rooms as a player. Now I'm a coach. And the guy who gave me a chance at seeing life as it is, at playing in the NBA for 11 years, at coaching in the NBA for 30 years, at doing the things I wanted to do, now I have the opportunity to be him. Oh my God. That's a responsibility that he's going to take to his heart. That's why he was so emotional. That's why he was so emotional at that pressure. His first pressure. Oh man. So and also it's growth. I've learned from someone like Coach Knight, but now I have a way of play. That's not better. It's just different because I have to adapt and adopt to the players of today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And do you think he talks with Coach Knight on the regular as he prepares for this? Whether it's not just the Bahamas trip, but as he goes into his first college head coaching season.
As much as with respect to Coach Knight's health.
Yes.
As much as Coach Knight.
He's not going to be hounding him about every little thing.
Well, as much as Coach Knight can recall, right? Because as far as Coach Knight's mental health, right?
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know how much. I don't want to go into too much stuff, but as much as Coach Knight's mental health, but I think it's more about. I can see Coach Knight because Coach Knight was always an objective speaker to me, but it was always about the lesson. It was always about if we can do these things and checklist, just sharing, like keep the team under 65 points, win the rebounding edge. If we can do I can see Coach Knight talking about those things with passion, and Coach Woodson reading between the lines and doing his best. But I'm more than certain there's a visit and an appreciation to say, hey man, you put me in position 30-something years ago, right? You put me in position. I want to tell you thank you. I could definitely see that happen for Coach Woodson and Coach Knight.
Well, Charlie, thanks for coming with us today on this ride, and thanks for withstanding me for these last 5 to 10 minutes here as Jim headed into that press conference. But we thank you as always for joining us.
No, I appreciate it, and man, I appreciate the people who said they missed me. I mean, that means a lot. I don't see the comments, not because I avoid them, I just don't see them. And sometimes it's a good thing because I could just be me. I could talk and I could share. And this is something that I want to do when I grow up. It may not be my own radio show, but I love to share. I love to talk. I love to communicate and be positive, and be optimistic, and just share from where I'm at with life. And I like to reflect. So this gives me an outlet to do that, and I'm very appreciative of you guys for this platform.
Well, we appreciate you, and also while I'm in control, I want to go ahead and plug my new podcast with Dustin Schutte that is launching on Monday of This Week in Indiana Football. We're looking forward to doing that, and both of us are really excited. So we hope once we release that on Monday that you guys will listen. We may do video with that as well. I'm not too sure, but we'll have that all for you on Monday. Thanks again, as always, for listening. Thanks again, Charlie. Thanks for Brian for joining us today. And obviously, thanks for Jim for being out there for Indiana football's practice, and also getting us all of the coverage from the press conference with Mike Woodson today and the players as they prepare to head off to the Bahamas. So until Monday, I guess we will see you. Thanks again, Charlie, and thanks to the fans. Until then, we will see you on the radio.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you, John.